All right, some good questions this week. So let's take a look at these real quick. All right, broker questions of the week. Can I enter compensation for rentals in the MLS? Yes or no? Anybody know that one?
No, as far as I know.
Yeah. Still can't do compensation, but this is what was the question was about. No, but you may enter credits from a seller or from a title company or lender. So you can say, hey, we'll give 1% or 1 point back to acceptable offer in within 30 days. So you're offering compensation, not compensation, you're offering a credit back to the buyer. That's okay. You can still do that. So, but you can't offer compensation. Now, in the rental world, does everyone know that there is a rental compensation form from NVAR? Everyone knew that?
Yes.
Okay, good. So you've got the NVAR tenant compensation form that you would fill out. If the listing agent hasn't done that, then you go ahead and fill it out and send what you want. So if you're charging 30%, go ahead and do that and send it out to them. And then let them decide how they're going to deal with it, whether they're going to change that or not. So that's kind of how you deal with that one. All right. Overpriced estimate of repairs from a buyer at closing or end of rent back. This kind of came from Aga had a they're in home inspection and so the buyer in their negotiation they found something in the negotiation and now the buyer not only wants them to fix it but kind of wants to direct how they fix it. So this one is particularly is dealing with a vanity. And so not only do they want them to fix the leak or whatever that's in the vanity, and this is the vanity we want you to place in there. And they're 30 days out from closing. So what do you think they should do there? What would y'all
I
do?
think
What's,
Give
fixing
them
the plumbing.
credit.
give them credit. What else?
Yeah. I mean, they're only required really to fix the plumbing
Yeah,
problem,
they're
right? I
wanting
mean,
$3,500 or this thing. So in their negotiation. So credit, like, they're only obligated, right, to fix what's there. Anything else?
how bad do they want to sell?
That's a good point. We are 70 some percent are going under contract in less than 10 days. But when you're part of that 29% that's not, you may need to bend a little bit. I contend at closing, if it's a big issue, you just halt and say, great. Because they're saying, let's just put this, let's say they're asking for $4,000 and you're like, I can get that done for 1,200 bucks. Why do you want a $4,000 credit? And so that's where you may, if you're at a loss here at closing and they're threatening to not do anything, get a bid and move forward. Now, the other piece, hardball would be if this had not been decided, the issue we're talking about is actually they're in negotiating right now. But if you're at closing, and they're wanting more money than what it's worth, you can go to closing if you're past all the the conveyances or the contingencies. The other is if it's at the end of a rent back, number one, you as the agent should not be involved. Okay. But you can give some advice, get bids on the phone and settle it. If the seller has damaged something, the seller's on the dime to fix it. In a home inspection, they want more than what the value of the fix is. And that's where we're negotiating. The secondary challenge I have with people wanting it to direct how it gets fixed is that if you don't like it, you may complain at closing. And that is, well, can I give them money at the table and let them take care of it? Yeah, you can, if they'll do that. But now you're debating they want $4,000 for a $1,200 fix. So that's where show them the bid, show them how much it's going to be, do a little homework here, and give them the evidence that they need to come around. the number crunching is what will get most people reasonably to come around. And if they say, well, that's not the kind I want, say, well, that's fine, but to fix it and go on the market, that's all I have to do is $1,200. If you want to update or upgrade your vanity, that's on you. So here, take the credit and you do it. So that's kind of what you want to look at there. Any comments? Okay. No comments. All smooth sailing. Good deal. How do I
I, I,
research?
I
Yeah,
I have a comment. Sorry there.
go for
Um,
it.
so, so yeah, the way you're saying it, it's again playing hardball, right? It's like, okay, you don't want it, that's fine. We're moving out,
Hmm.
right? And 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 that's that 70% that you mentioned. How about that
Hmm.
30%,
Yeah, I
right?
mean, it's still on the 30%. Even though I'm hanging out there for a while, it doesn't mean I necessarily want to give up thousands of dollars on something that's, in other words, in this particular situation, the agent I was talking with, and all these, by the way, the new folks coming on board, these are questions I've gotten all week long. I gather them together and then I answer them. So this is a real situation going on. And the agent involved is not online. So anyway, so I'll be careful what I say. Except that the fix is not $3,500. I know this fix, and it's a check on what the problem is. It's a cleanup, it's a fix, and you move
To be
along.
able to get done is unbelievable. What used to take a few seconds is just gonna be like boom, boom.
Yeah. So when you are looking at that, you know the realistic piece of it. So where I'm coming from on this one, is it hardball? I don't know that it's hardball, but it is bringing the buyer and that buyer agent back to the table with a reality check.
Anthony,
Yeah, go ahead, Anya.
so another suggestion that potentially could happen if the buyers are really persistent on which vanity they want, you can have the seller offer a credit
Hmm.
for a vanity that's, equal to whatever is in there roughly.
Hmm.
So let's say $500. I don't know how much a
Yeah,
vanity, how big it is, whether it's
yeah,
double or single and whatnot. And then say if the buyer wants to choose the vanity and pay, for whatever difference they want because they want an upgraded one, that's fine. But
yeah,
also negotiate to prepay the contractor of whomever choice, whether it's the sellers or buyers,
right.
to say, hey, we will prepay for this and we're offering you a credit for, equal
Hmm.
vanity, but you
Yeah,
guys will pick whatever vanity you want and the contractor will install it after settlement.
yeah. That's another way to do it. I know David Robertson with Universal Title, he's all about credits on home inspection items.
Yeah,
He's
because
like,
it's
when you,
easier.
yeah, oh, totally easier. I mean, unless it's like, hey, you got a cracked window in the front door, or you need, I want this wall painted. A lot of those, some of those, even Harry homeowner can do it, but sometimes are you doing it to the level that the buyer wants it? So they walk into the walkthrough and now they don't like the way you did it. In the old days, that's kind of what you did. It's fixed. Here you go, move along. And in most cases, what I would submit is that there's not a lot of, I get them on the walkthroughs. I get calls, we got a walkthrough problem, but most deals do not fall through because of walkthroughs. And most deals, people settle down, they get it done. And that's where you just tell the seller, look, they're giving you premium price for the house, make sure it's done right. That's where, George, to your question, playing hardball, sometimes I got to play hardball with my own client. Guys are giving you $400,000 more than what you paid for it. And they're taking a loan for $650,000 and they're bringing all this money to the table. Uh, I think you need to fix the sink. That
Right.
kind of thing.
Ultimate. That's it. That's what I was heading to because I remember one of the courses. It was like, look, who's coming to the table with the money, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The
The
buyer's coming to the
buyer.
table with the money. They just want it
Right.
done properly.
Yeah.
And that's why,
Yeah.
going back to a couple of comments here, that's fine. Here's the credit. You hire the person to do it. And now it's done the
Yeah.
way you want it done. Okay. All right. End of rent back. The money that's, hey, there's a ding on the floor. Well, I actually had this where I don't know if it was a rent back or not, but the movers were leaving and they dropped a dresser and dinged. I don't mean scratched. I mean dinged the hardwood floor. And so I had to find a flooring guy, and he came in. It was actually a work of art to watch him get that one strip out. Um, and then he went to his van, got the same type of wood, matched the stain, and got it all done. It was like nothing had happened. It was amazing. So it can be fixed, but you got that's where you go after who did the damage. Was it the stager? Was it the movers? Was it the fix it guy? Who did the damage? And then that's who you kind of go after later. Because when you're talking about you're going to closing, or the deadline is upon you for rent back, you don't have time anymore. So the seller and buyer need to work it out, and then whoever needs to go after somebody later to get your reimbursement. Okay.
Anthony, I have a question on that.
Yeah.
Something recently came up. I don't get involved in post settlement whatsoever, and I tell the agent, buyer's agent, and the clients, like, I no longer I am involved after the
Mhm.
settlement. So you deal with each other during the post settlement, which that's
Right.
what the new document says.
Right.
But regarding the 3-day walkthrough that has to be performed by the buyer, is it automatic that after 3 days, if the buyers don't send anything, the title company must release the money, or are they waiting even post 3 days to hear back from the buyers?
No, they release it.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
Universal Title told my client that
Mhm.
they need to wait to hear back from the buyers.
Well, they may have had something in their agreement, but
No, no, it wasn't.
yeah. All right, I have to look at that paperwork again.
Well,
'Cause what it
my,
says to me is that if they don't give them something, then they have to release it.
yeah, so I would like to have some type of a conversation with Universal Title,
Mhm.
to make sure that they don't say that, because it kind of became an argument of like,
Yeah.
no, it says 3 days and you do not wait after three
Yeah.
days. You release
Yeah.
the money. If there's nothing done, you do
Hmm.
not then wait to day 4 or 5. It's too bad for the buyer.
Right. Yeah. That's the rent back agreement, correct? Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Or the post settlement occupancy.
Yep.
Yeah, I get that one. That's my position on it, is that I believe that now says, because it used to be they had to talk it through,
Just over, whenever you're ready.
and now it says that they just release it after. If they don't hear back, then it's
Yep.
on them to release it. And I know that might be something they're trying to do to let me look that up. Post.
Well, my other title company says that at settlement, if there is a walkthrough, that after 3 days they're releasing it. If they're not hearing anything, 3 days,
Yeah.
boom, on the day 4, it gets released.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Here's where let me change my share. What she's talking about, y'all, is the seller. It's in the agreement right here. And so without buyer must conduct a post occupancy inspection of property and deliver to seller and escrow a list of deficiencies within 3 business days after deadline. This is the buyer who's now the owner. If escrow agent does not receive this list of deficiencies within the specified time, the parties irrevocably instruct the escrow agent to release the funds to the seller. It's pretty straight to me. That's what I'm
yeah,
saying. Maybe in the agreement somewhere else there was something else that was written.
no, it wasn't.
Yeah. So it then says if the buyer does deliver the list of deficiencies to the seller within 3 days, security deposit will be held in escrow until, and then they have to
Mutually
negotiate out.
agree, right?
Yeah. How long ago was that?
Um, less than 2 weeks ago.
I'll give them a call.
Well, it was Brian that
Yeah.
sent my client a message saying, no, well, we're gonna have to wait.
Yeah, he hadn't read that latest
Yeah.
update, I don't think.
So okay,
Anyway,
thank you.
okay. Yeah, thank you. It's pretty straightforward on this stuff. So I'm not looking to try to get into an argument over, but it's pretty straightforward. Okay. All right. Let's go to the next one. How do I research the agent across the table? Anybody done that before? Yeah.
Yeah.
No?
You
Yeah.
go. You
Okay.
go to You
Bright
go to-
MLS.
yeah, Bright MLS, and you
Yeah,
just
you
look
go
them up.
there. So very quickly, I just wanted to show some folks how to do that in case you weren't aware. Gonna share another screen. And so you're searching a couple of things here. That's one. The other you're also searching is, do they have their license? Let's start with that. And if you just, you do it because when you're going to do the contract, there's a place at the end of the contract where you have to put the agents and information um, into the contract, and it is asking for their license number. So I always go here to get the license number. Okay. Um, let's just go to Monica, uh, Robert Johnson. Let's pick a I don't know any Robert Johnson, so let's just look for a Robert Johnson. There's no double Robert Johnson. So you go here. Okay, here's the Robert Johnsons, and then I look up, well, which one is someone in the area that I need them to be in. Wow, these guys are all over the place. So let's filter to Fairfax. Hmm. Well, let's just say that was it. Then I'm looking for, this is an optician, but I'm looking for it's active or inactive. I've run into this 2 or 3 times this year where someone is writing an offer and their license is inactive or is expired. So you do want to check that out. The solution here when that happens is that it's not difficult, okay? And we're not innocent either. We've had some agents whose licenses expire or something. And what you do is you pass that on to another agent. Remember the agreement with your buyers and sellers and tenants and landlords is with the brokerage. So it's not a problem if you've got an issue with your license because the brokerage is the one that has the agreement. So what you have to do though is until you get your stuff done and it's back up and active, you got to pass that on to someone else. I've had to take listings for agents at times who are like transferring from company A to company B. I'll take the listing for, as long as it takes them to get their license done. So then they're Johnny on the spot. We got it going. The calls are coming to me. I'm passing them on to the assigned agent that they have, and then when they're active, I go back in the back end of Bright and I switch it back over to them. So we don't lose time in market. When you have an issue where the agent has gotten expired or is inactive because they didn't get their CE done or something, then I call the broker and say, hey, I need you to take this over as far as our contact or assign this to another agent. So not a huge issue. When it is a huge issue is if something goes sideways and it comes out that you were practicing real estate without your license active, then it's a huge issue. Okay. So you look them up, you see what's going on with them. And then another one is to search in this area of Bright looking for agents. And there's a couple of things you do here. Let's go with Robert Johnson again. Let's go with Robert Eckert. I do not know this person, so let's see. We may uncover. So he's with eXp Realty. Here's his login number. Okay, so he may have active license, but what I'm looking for is how much has he sold. So I copy that subscriber ID. Then I go to market up here, and I go to markets. I go to agent and office production, and I go to agent awards report. That's going to give me everything, both sides of the deal. I usually go back over a year. I put a subscriber ID in here, and I generate the report. So if this guy's across the desk from me and he's written he's got an article here, he's got a contract in front of me. He's got a New Jersey deal since last January under his name. So y'all tell me what y'all would do. This guy's now written on your house. How are you going to handle this now?
He's not writing anything. He's just listing his own house.
It might be, but I'm saying he has written an offer for you on your house, and this is what you find out about Mr. Eckert. He's active. He's in the MLS, but since last January, this is the only deal he's got done. So what are you going to do? Nothing.
So,
That's what we're
so
going to do.
here's my situation for that
Yeah.
is that if you need to actually go back to him and Google him to see if he's on a team, because I know for a fact EXP doesn't give credit to the agent, the lead agent takes
Mhm.
it. And so that becomes a problem when you look at it, that they don't have a lot of volume. So there's a couple
Okay.
of the numbers need to be carefully looked at. But what you did was really interesting. You did ChatGPT or you did Gemini, and you put him in, and it gave a lot of his information as well. So
Yeah.
those are two things I found that one use from you that I thought was helpful, and the
Yeah.
other one is, was he on a team? Because the team is not going to give him or her the credit in there because it's always going to go in the team lead.
What was his name? Robert Eckert.
Yeah, I think so.
So it's going to think a little bit. But all I need right now is that it sounds like maybe he's a newer guy. 7 years operations and logistics as an officer in the U.S. Army. So he's not throwing out front that he's a realtor. So probably he's a newer agent, and now he's written on my property. So what I'm going to do, since I'm not getting the answer I want here, it's like I'm gonna mentor him along. I'll say, hey, Robert, is this your first deal or are you on a team? No, it's my first deal. Say, great. Look, here's how I work with new agents. I'm happy to shepherd you along. Do you have a broker? Do you have an agent? Yeah, you do. Say, great. I want to, we want to have a great experience for both their buyer and seller. And if you have any questions, I'm an open book. I mean, I'm not going to tell you stuff confidentially about my seller, but if you have any questions, just reach out to me. We'll make this work really well. I was the other person several years ago when I did my first Maryland deal. Now, when I was doing my first Maryland deal, I don't know how long I'd had my license. It was definitely over 15 years. But I just told the agent right up front, hey, look, I've got an associate broker's degree in Virginia. I got a license in DC. This is my first Maryland deal. And she just laughed. She goes, hey, everyone's got their first deal. I said, well, where do I get these disclosure forms? And she said, oh, it's up in the top. You click that. They're all done. She goes, Anthony, half the contract's written for you. So she was very open to that. And I think we need to do the same thing instead of running down the hole. Now, when it goes sideways, if we hadn't checked this out earlier, that's kind of the problem. We should have checked this out. And I check everybody, unless I know them, I check everybody out when they write something on the property. But that's how you do a little bit of a
Well, when you go to DPOR, it tells you when their first license was initiated also.
yes. And apparently I just did the number and clicked it and found out he's in New Jersey. He is a New Jersey agent. He's not local. But I'm just saying, just in case, what if he had written it and he was, he's writing down here, and what would you do with someone that's got 0 or 1 or 2? And I say bring them along. I don't let them know. I mean, I'm not going to talk down to them, but I'm just going to say, hey, I noticed this is your first deal, or you did 4 deals since 2025. Tell me about your experience level. That's great. Hey, we'll work together to get this done. If you need any questions, I'm happy to help you out. Do you have a broker you're working with, or a partner, or a team you're on? Okay, so you set that stage for them. And honestly, you bring that stress level down for them to not be afraid to say, I don't know how to do this. Okay, and can you help me out? Because you want it to go through, and by helping them, you're helping your deal and helping your buyer, your seller to get to closing.
So I
Okay.
love that, Anthony, that you tell them basically like, hey, I see that you're newer, or maybe if they don't send you the right disclosures, something like that, that you
Yeah.
tell them like, listen, we just wanted to make sure we have a good transaction together. And
Right.
if you have any questions, I'm here to help you. I think it kind of takes a lot of nerves off the other agent,
Yeah.
and it helps you understand if they send you something wrong, you'd be like, hey, listen, that's not the right thing. Can
Yeah.
we? So that
Well,
that I love that.
yeah, let's go back to this guy here, okay? Robert Eckert. What if he did get his Virginia license because he's former military, he's in Morristown, New Jersey. That's a big blue stock area, a lot of Wall Street type of stuff going on there. But he's former Army and he knows I got a lot of friends down in outside the Pentagon. I'm going to go get my license and work down there. And so I'm going to call them and say, "Hey, congratulations with your deal and all. By the way, tell me about your moving experience. I see you're former military. Yeah, I moved 15 times. Okay, great. You moved 15 times. But let me say, have you done any business in Virginia? Now, I'm going to tell you guys this. You may not know this. In New Jersey and New York, agents don't write contracts. I don't know if you knew that or not. You give an offer, you give like a letter of offer, and then you agree to it, and then it's turned over to an attorney. So if I have an agent coming down from New Jersey or New York, I'm really going to be looking at that one because they're not used to doing that. If they're a New Jersey agent, they're used to the attorney doing it. So I really got to watch that to make sure it's getting completed properly. Yeah, good point. All right. So, and the DPOR license. So that's another way. All right. 1031 exchange highlights. How many online have done a 1031 exchange? Raise your hand. One, two, three,
Uh,
four. There's five.
I have.
Okay. 7 of us. All right. Great. So, to the rest of the folks on this, the 1031 is it's the IRS code, and 1031 is a section of that code when you are selling a property. And then an investor has a property, has a rental. They're selling the property and they're rolling that money over somewhere else to another investment property or investment properties. So they can sell one property and go buy another one, or sell one property and go buy two or three. And those two or three don't have to be the same type of property. So let's say they're selling a single family here for 800,000. They're going to take that and they're going to buy four properties at 200 each. Now they have to match what they sold. If they sold for 800, their exchange properties have to be valued at 800, up to 800. And they can't touch it. So the first thing is they can't touch the money. They have to have a qualified intermediary. I use 1031.us. They're local, but they also do national work. They're really good. Yeah, Jen.
I just wanted to get a little bit of clarification. When you're doing a 1031 and let's say the property, the original purchase price was 200,000. My understanding was that the 1031 exchange for the next property had to start at 200,000, not up to 200,000.
No, it has to be 200 or higher. So
okay, because I thought you said
meaning
up
if
to 200
someone,
or up to
oh,
800.
I'm sorry, what they bought? No, it's what they sold. If they sold it for 500, then they got to buy something for 500.
Okay, so
that
that's
takes
okay.
into
So that's
account,
kind of
yeah, that takes into account all that rollover money has to go into the next property. Otherwise, they're touching it and they owe taxes.
And it can be any real estate. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be residential. You can go from
Parking
residential
lots.
to commercial. Or yeah, it can go from residential to commercial, or as long as it's real estate.
They could do a what do you call it? A
A
storage
DRP,
unit. It's just got to be realty. It's got to be real estate.
right?
But
They
they
could
the
also
can't.
starting
do.
price.
I'm sorry, Jen,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
So the
Jen?
starting price of the new property has to be the sales price of the old property?
No, the total volume that they're selling, that they're buying, has to replace that $500,000 value. So they could buy a $200,000 parking lot and a $300,000 condo. There's the 500.
Well, actually, but the word is cost basis, so you could take your
Yeah.
deductions off and whatever. So it
Yeah.
might not have to be the exact 500, but when you
Right.
get your
Excuse me. I'm sorry, Mitch.
it's just
Right.
another
Yeah.
twist to it, but that's
Yeah.
basically it. Yeah.
But the
So,
key here is,
okay, what if you have a situation where you have somebody that's been renting their house? And I'm asking out of an experience that I knew about for a friend. They were military renting their house. Their original purchase price was, let's say 200,000. They were going to, because they had rented it for over so many years, they had to use the 1031 to go buy another rental property. And the rental property, what was explained to me when I was kind of watching from the peripheral, was that the rental property had to be the same value of the original purchase price of the house.
wow.
And maybe it was because it was a rental to rental. I don't
Well,
know.
it is a
That,
rental to
that's what-
rental. And I mean, let's answer this one right away. But
Can you put that link in the chat box?
You can't take your 1031 exchange, and as long as you did not lived in it 2 out of the last 5, and so you have to exchange it into an investment property. So
Yeah.
you whatever the word investment, which is generally a rental, they have to go ahead and buy it into an investment property. So if they want to buy a storefront, then and they want to use that as a, it has to be real property. It can't be personal property. So it can't be a cell tower. It can't be the supplies in there. It has to be actually real property.
mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's why I was a little confused. Okay. Because it was a rental situation and not a person's primary residence or whatever,
Right.
or second home or
And-
whatever.
Right, and not, without going into how details, a way to get around it, but yeah, it's generally like for like.
But you
So,
can't
Okay.
do a 1031 with something that's not an investment property.
correct, it can't be,
Right.
it can't be a
So
primary.
it can't be for personal property anyway. It can't be for
Right.
primary residence.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah, it has to be
So
an
it
investment
is-
property. And when I did it, it was, so my client sold a property for about 600 in New Jersey. And then he bought 3 small rentals here for about 200 each. So it just has to be 600 or more.
Combined.
okay, so that's my thought process. Okay,
Right.
so I was all
Yeah,
right.
so what you said originally was the starting price is
Right.
600. That's correct.
Yeah. So, and
Okay.
by the way, I did put in the remarks the link to this website. The company is Realty Exchange Corporation. They're local, and now this is into its second generation. It's Mark, I believe, is the operator now. His dad retired many years ago, but yeah, Bill Horan. If you get a chance to go to one of his classes, it's usually by a title company, and I think it's 1 or 2 hours. It's worth going, and every time he teaches it and I'm available, I go to it because there's always changes here and there, and also always want to make sure I'm right on target. I mean,
And you
obviously,
can get CE credits also, so
Yeah.
that would be worthwhile too.
but Bill Horan, 1031.us, lots of good forms on here. This is where I send people, and he does them all over the country, so you don't have to only do it in Virginia. So the other piece of it, any more questions on that piece though, on the value? Everyone got that? Then the other piece is he's got 45, he sells it, he's got 45 days to identify the new property. And then he has 180 days total time to get everything done. So they can't putz around. So sometimes you'll get an offer and there's an addendum that is supposed to come with that offer that says, this is a 1031 exchange purchase. I am rolling my money over into this one. But there's also, this is a 1031 sale. I'm selling it and I'm rolling over. Okay. So it's just a disclosure to the other party that this is part of a 1031 exchange. So those are just some highlights on it. Go to that website I showed you. That's like an education in and of itself. So, but this was a question that came up because the seller was like, well, can I just choose my attorney? No, they have to be a qualified intermediary. They got to have, training on this. They've got to have escrow accounts. They have to be someone that the title company can list as the one that's holding the money. And then the intermediary comes to the table with the money. And that's how the investor avoids capital gains tax at this time. Ultimately, they're going to have to, if they cash out, that's when they have to eventually pay taxes. But on the 1031, they can't touch it. Okay?
Anthony, last question, just to be sure that I understood correct. So let's say, for example, a client has a land that want to sell, an example, for 2 million, okay?
Mhm.
And then they want to do a 1031 exchange, but they say, we don't want to use all the money. Some we wanna put in cash, and some we want to invest it. Is that possible, or the 2 million has to be used all for the 1031 exchange? That is, I didn't understand.
Yeah. My understanding is they got to use all the cash. That's the whole point of this, is that you're not touching it. And so therefore we're not going to tax you. Now, what he could do is buy the next property and then go draw cash out of it.
Actually, can I correct that for a
I
second?
don't
Yes,
think you can
Mitch,
do
go
that.
ahead.
It has to be the
So,
same amount
can
or
I-
higher.
I'll correct that for a second. So if you put in the intermediary 800,000 and you buy for 500,000, if you don't invest that money, then that becomes capital gain dollars. So you don't have to spend it all, but to avoid capital gains, you have to use whatever you put in the fiscal
Right.
intermediary.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying to you. Okay, great. So for
Yeah.
example, let's
Okay.
say-
I'm on 1031 mode. Yeah, they can
Oh,
take any
okay.
cash
So
they
then you,
want.
for
But
example, let's
anything
say
they
I don't
touch,
want
they're
to.
gonna. Yeah, but
Right,
anything
for
they
example,
touch, they're gonna owe capital gains.
Right. Okay. So you
Yeah.
pay then on that difference that you don't want.
Yes.
Then you're gonna pay the taxes basically.
Right.
And how much is normally 20%?
That's an accountant question
Okay.
because their income is going to dictate how much their capital gains are and their whole private situation.
Perfect. Sounds
Okay.
good.
All right. So that's all I got. What do y'all got?
How about buyer agent commission, BAC?
What's that?
Where has people have a problem with BAC, the buyer agent commission?
Buyer
that-
agent commission.
Yeah.
Where are people having a problem with that?
Yeah, are they still, or is it kind of gone away?
I'm not. The place I see the problem is with your own buyer, with everyone's own buyers. The buyer not crossing the dime of signing off on a higher commission, let you go work for it and then come back. Is everyone here with KW United? If you're
Yes.
not, raise your hand. Okay, everyone's here. All right. So all mine have 3% on it. I just, I put 3% on everything for my buyers. And then if there's some rebate that I'm going to give back in that agreement in other terms, I'll define how that rebate looks. But then also I let them know, look, I am going to go battle for this to pay your bill. If I can't get the full 3, can you make up the difference? This is my exact dialogue. Well, no, I can't, or what? I say, yeah, I can make up the difference, 0.5%. So if you're talking about an $800,000 property, do you have an extra $4,000 to pay me? You're not responsible for 24,000. You'd just be responsible for 4,000. They say, well, no, I don't really want to do that. I want to kind of fold it into the transaction. Great. Now I go get my brokerage agreement amendment form, and I switch it to 2.5. If I sign the buyer broker agreement for 2.5, that's all I can put in the contract. And that's why I'm not sure some agents who are submitting all these 2.5s with the buyer broker. I said, are you understanding you need to go you can't negotiate any more if you don't put 3 in here. It has to be 3. And it needs to be 3 or 3.5 or whatever you're charging and we got a couple of agents, they're getting 4, and so you just got to put it in there and go to bat for it. And
Couldn't you also, like, if it was an issue where they couldn't or didn't want to pay the extra 0.5%, couldn't you build that into a higher sales price?
Yeah, you can. You could say, hey, it's 800,000. They say no, 2.5. Say, great, we're going to go to 805. And then I'm going to get a credit back to my buyer, or I'm going to get commission dollars in that contract, or it's a credit back to my buyer, and then my buyer pays me. Okay. So that's another way to work that out. Looking at my but there's the brokerage agreement amendment that you want to use to change that compensation if it comes to that. Okay. But then again, you can always put in the listing, like I said before, credits. I'm offering $4,000 in points and stuff like that's all allowed. Scott, what you got?
Just on this topic, a good reminder that I got recently. So a seller client of mine on a $1.2 million house, we got an full price offer with a 3% buyer agent commission. And so I talked to the client. I said, the obvious counter is 2.5. All other terms stay the same, which is probably what the seller or the buyer is expecting. And my client said they were fine with the 3%.
Yeah.
So if you don't ask for that, there's no possibility that you get 3%.
Mhm.
And you could have a seller that simply, they're happy to get the offer in the timing and the other pricing issues and other terms, and are happy to pay the extra 0.5%.
Mhm. Especially if they've been sitting there 30 days or longer and they're facing a price drop of 3 or 4%, they'd be happy to just pay you a 0.5% more and keep their price.
Yeah, I had a seller, same thing that Scott just said, and they said, well, we don't want to pay 3, but we'll pay 2.75.
Yeah. It's negotiable. That's where it says everywhere it's negotiable, and that's how you work that. Yeah. Let's try to get paid more on that.
Anthony,
So,
question.
yeah, Gary.
Okay, so I have a listing, 800 client. We've had tons of offers. They're all at or just a little bit above and a little bit below. They're all VA. They all want $25,000 worth of closing cost help,
Uh-huh.
and they want 3% to the selling agent.
Mm-hmm.
So I've talked to all the agents, tried to work out something. My best suggestion to them was either get them to pay part of that, all of that, or
Mm-hmm.
we raise the price to cover it, because I think it'll and can't get anybody to move. Nobody wants to pay the extra.
How many offers have come in?
I think 5 so far.
And how long's the house been on the market?
Like a week.
A week?
Yeah.
Wow. Where is it? Is it near a base?
Yes, it's actually on a Fort Belvoir address.
Yeah.
Oh, huh.
Well, to have 5 offers and they all look like that sounds to me like the market's speaking. Yeah.
To pay
May I ask?
I mean, that's $50,000 off the.
Yeah. Or are you talking it through, or are
I'm
you
talking.
responding with it marked out? And
No, I'm talking to everybody before.
yeah, I would start the next one that comes in, or go back to the last one and say, "Hey, here's our counter." Don't talk about it, just counter it with the number on it and hash out and initialed, and that way they see, well, the seller really wants to sell it to us, and here's what they've said. Now it's up to them to counter it back the way they had it before. So go from 3% commission to 2.5%, and go from 3% seller or 25,000 seller subsidy to 20,000 seller subsidy. Mark it out, initial it, sign it, send it back. Now it's on them to flub the deal. Right now, if we're just talking, no one's really having to face the music because
What I've done
no
is
one's blinked.
I've talked about it, then countered and sent it to them,
Okay.
and they're either recountering or just telling us they're not going to do it. So, I mean,
But to
I
get
think
5 like that, man, that just tells me the market's telling the seller this may be what it's going to take to get this sold.
they're all VA loans. I've gotten nothing conventional.
Yeah.
And every one of them have
That
been 100 to 100.
scenario is statistically improbable. In a first week, 5 offers, all asking for 3% and $25,000 seller subsidy. I'm not saying it hasn't happened, Gary. It's
just amazing.
The chances of that statistically happening without collusion, which again, I'm not saying that happened either, is just so improbable.
Oh, are you thinking that the buyer is like going from agent to agent to try to get the same thing?
No, I'm not thinking. I'm just saying that's the first thing that comes to mind. I don't think that happened at all. It's just I'm making the point that this is, to your point about the market reacting, that just is so outside the norm of what you would ever think probable.
Yeah.
It's startling.
So I think the only thing that really supports that, Scott, is that they if you look up Zillow says it would sell from 770, I think, to 824. And then it says, what's the market value? And the market value is 5,000 less than the list price.
Yeah.
And that's where most of the contracts are coming in. So I think the agents are looking at Zillow.
Yeah.
That as their
For sure.
I actually talk about Zillow. And
they're looking at Zillow, they're looking at realtor.com, any of these places that have an automated valuation. And they're like, hey, he's over, so let's help him by giving him what he wants, but get some money back in our pocket.
Yeah.
So so I would really have a heart to heart with the seller. Say, how motivated are you to, we've had 5 offers. They're all telling you the same thing. And those buyers, they're all looking at it going like, well, it's right in the shadow of this area. And there's something that's not drawing conventional lenders to it. So
Could I ask,
by the
hey,
5th
Gary,
offer, I'd be signing something. Let me put it that way.
Gary, was it
as a
100%
seller.
financing?
All 100%, everyone.
And I have the exact same thing, 100% financing. They lowered the sales price and asked for $10,000 to cover all their closing costs.
Mhm.
And so they want to walk away with no money out of their pocket, and it reduced the seller, the list buyer agent from 3 to 2. And so, then we counted back thinking, okay, let's raise the sales price, but then I have to deal with the VA appraisal and I'm giving seller credit. So isn't interesting that the VA is asking for 100% and covering all the closing costs. So,
yeah. Well, it's a good loan.
I've gone back to the lender and the title company and said, how much can you kick in?
Yeah, let me take a side point on this VA. I continually get this question, so I'm going to answer it because we got a lot of new folks on here today. A lot of people, when they are competing that are VA, they will say, I'll do a guarantee, which that I'll do the 10,000 above asking price, and if it comes in low, I'll do an appraisal guarantee, and I'll waive the appraisal. Again, I just want to remind everyone, buyer and seller can waive all they want, but you can't waive the program. It's like saying, I will install a fence on the back of my lot here for you before closing. Great. They sign on it and they do it. And you find out that where he put the fence and where the buyer wanted it was the Dominion Powers lien on that property. And they did it right on top of the lien. Who's going to win in that argument?
Virginia Power.
Dominion Power. Regardless of what the buyer and seller agreed to, Dominion Power is going to win. It's the same thing with a VA waive of appraisal. VA is going to win. FHA is going to win. They can both agree. And here's where it's iffy. It's not that VA or FHA is going to hammer them for having waived it, but you can't take away the opportunity for that buyer with VA and FHA to walk with a low appraisal, even though they've agreed to a low appraisal. So would they be in breach? Yeah, they kind of in breach, but everyone supposedly knew that because of this loan program, you can't waive it absolutely. You can waive it absolutely with cash and waive it absolutely with conventional. But with FHA and VA, it is not an absolute waive. The lender and the program, which is backed by the federal government, still gives them the opportunity to leave.
Can I get a number 8?
Yeah, there we go. Okay, someone's getting lunch. There we go. So they have that opportunity and can walk away. The seller and buyer need to be okay with that, and they have a ladies and gentlemen's agreement across the table that the buyer's not going to walk. Yes, Scott.
Yeah, I would say it's not even a breach if the buyer changed their mind, because there's language in the contract that says notwithstanding any other term in this contract, buyer can't, you can't waive that. So
that's a good point.
Your point about the gentleman's agreement, there has to be, hey, I'm giving you this so you have some degree of confidence that I will cover a shortfall and not walk or hold you to the lower price. But
so how do I say that? It's not breach, but he went back on his word, or she went back on her word.
Yeah.
That's what happened. And that loan program allows it. So I mean, everyone's like, yeah, I signed this agreement. The title company's okay with it. I'm like, guys, I appreciate that, but you're trying to tell Dominion Power Company where I can put that fence on their land. Yeah. Megan.
I was just going to share that this came up recently with a listing of mine. And so instead of telling them that like, hey, we all know that you can come out of this, go get your conventional loan, have your buyer apply for their VA loan. If the VA loan approves the appraisal and you've already waived it with my conventional offer that you've given me, we'll sign something saying that we'll accept your financing change.
Yeah, that works.
As the seller. And then that way everyone's happy, everyone gets what they want, but your seller isn't left holding the undetermined appraisal in hand.
Right. Okay. All right. Anything else? Remember, we're closed on Monday. The office is closed, which I mean, you got access. So is real estate
Hey,
ever
Anthony.
closed?
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
Chris.
Sorry. Yeah. So I have two listings that have a VA loan, and agents have been asking me who the bank is. Is that because every bank processes it differently?
Yeah,
Like,
I think so. They just want to know who their servicer going to be.
okay, is
Yeah,
that going to depend on the time that they process it, or
that I don't know. Some people just
okay?
like to know who's the bank. Are they assuming it?
I mean, yeah, yeah. I don't have a contract yet. They're not listed yet, but I'm assuming they're assuming it.
Assuming they want to assume the loan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, yeah, give them that information because they're going to be having to live with that for the next 90 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Oh, for
some
the next
banks are
90
faster,
days?
like Penny Mac.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's
It's-
one of them.
yeah. Truist. I love Truist. They were done in 42 days.
Oh, nice. What about
Yeah.
PNC?
I don't know about PNC.
Forever.
Okay.
Rocket Mortgage, don't
Oh,
even just
God.
start crying now.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And it's really on the
Rocket.
seller if they don't have any other offers. They're doing a solid for that other veteran, unless it's I'm back to post my next video is about assuming a VA loan.
Uh-huh.
Because there now what's happening is people are able to get a loan to make up the bogey, the
What's
down
that?
payment piece. And so there's secondary
Oh, right.
loans now available to do that. But if you do that, you now have an appraisal. If you just assume it and bring cash for that down payment, there's no appraisal. Forgot to put that in the video. Oh, well.
Can you repeat that?
If you are using a secondary loan for that down payment, let's say you got a mortgage of 500 and your buy and your sale is 700, and the veteran's going to go get $200,000 mortgage to make up that down payment. So he's assuming and bringing 200 grand in a loan to the table. That secondary property mortgage is now going to want to do an appraisal. Whereas if you're
Oh,
just assuming and bringing cash into for that assumption, there's no appraisal. So
got
if I had one property where we started at like 485 and we wound up selling for 515, and it was a veteran that won. No, it was a veteran we were selling, and everyone wanted that amount, that loan that he had. He had like a 2.25% interest rate, and so we had like 10 offers, and the one that won brought cash in, and we didn't have an appraisal. There was no appraisal because he's getting a loan for hundreds of $1,000s less, but he brought his hundreds of thousands of dollars to the table to make up the difference. So that escalation, we weren't afraid of an appraisal. But if they get a secondary loan, that second lender may require a appraisal. So it's going to slow things down, potentially give you a hiccup. So
we've just seen 5 VA loans in this conversation of 18 people.
what's that?
I said we just had like a conversation about 5 VA loans or 6 buyers that are VA loans.
Yeah.
Is that now increasing? Do we need to have maybe a class on navigating VA loans because there's all those nuances? Obviously,
It's possible.
there's I mean, I don't know. What do people think?
Yeah.
Some of us understand it, but it seems
Well,
to
I
be
think,
now
a good one
common.
with that, which incorporates incorporates an assumption as well.
Right.
Yeah, I would love that.
Okay. We'll get our
I
lender
was
in
just going
here.
to add that, Anthony knows about it, but I had a crazy one with a VA loan where my buyer was he was a conventional buyer. He did not have any VA eligibility rights, but he was buying a a VA loan property, and the secondary mortgage that he needed ended up with a lower appraisal. So we got the lowered price, but that seller was not happy about it. I mean, it was a miss on them understanding that the appraisal still came in.
Yeah. Well, what did it matter? Well, I guess it mattered to him on the lower price because he had to cut his income on it, his proceeds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. So,
You know,
yeah,
the
my
other
guys,
element
the
about
Maryland sellers that had that, they were going to Germany. They were so ecstatic. And then I had another one, same thing. Sold for 700. They bought it for 525, and there was no took over the loan on that one. I had one in Maryland that was a big headache, and it was with shoot. It was Mr. something. What's the mortgage company that was Mr.
Mr. Cooper.
Mr. Cooper had a brokerage that held their mortgages, and I didn't know it was Mr. Cooper until we got under contract. And that one took over 103, 104 days. It was a mess.
I think Rocket bought Mr. Cooper.
I think they did. So now they're all under Rocket. So they're getting all the problem children. All right. Anything else? It's lunchtime. I hear plates coming out, sandwiches being dove into. All right, folks. Thanks so much for popping in. This is being recorded, so you can go online in a few minutes or when Rashana gets back to that, and we will get it done.